Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Benchwamer Sports podcast. I'm your host, Raffi, and as always, joined by Davian and Lucas. Boys, it's been a week. There's been a lot of madness. Unfortunately, Tennessee decided to do the one thing I knew. I was like, if Tennessee cannot shoot well from three, they're not going to go far. And what happened? They shot 11% from three versus Michigan. They should have won that game. Hunter Dickinson owns me, owns my bracket. I'm disappointed about that. But you know what? It's all worth it. It's all worth it at the end of the day because the Peacocks are in the Elite Eight. They're taking on North Carolina on Sunday. We're recording Saturday morning right now. But man, I can't even pick against the Peacocks at this point. I feel like they're America's team. They're like the Dallas Cowboys of nowadays without the annoying fans. America wants the Peacocks. Davian, you are the person located in the state of New Jersey. I don't know how if you're going out, if there's huge Peacock celebrations, but just break down how you're feeling right now about the Peacocks.
Man, I'm hyped. Look, everybody knows based off the last few podcasts, I know nothing about college basketball, but I am hyped about the Peacocks. It's been 11 years since New Jersey really had a winning team. Yes, you had Rutgers, you had Seton Hall, they were doing well, but you never had a team go really this far in any type of playoff format. I'm just really hyped. I'm really happy. If they go all the way, I'm definitely going down to Jersey City and gonna celebrate with all the fans there. But New Jersey's buzzing. Everybody here is hyped about it. And everybody here is just hyped that, St. Peter's has been put on the map. And I'll be honest, even as a New Jersey person, had no clue where St. Peter's was, but I now know where it was for sure. And I now know where it is for sure.
Yeah, after all those years of getting to watch the University of New Jersey, which I've learned is now Rutgers University. It's actually Rutgers University. For watching Rutgers for so many years, it's kind of nice for New Jersey to finally get some good college sports going on in their state. Lucas, I know you're not near New Jersey. You are located in Georgia, but how does it feel right now knowing that the Peacocks are one win away from the Final Four? And do you think that they can pull that off?
Oh, it's been great to watch. I love the run they're on. At this point, why not? Why can't they pull it off? Everyone that they're going to be playing at this point is going to have the pressure on them. The Peacocks are playing as loose as they could possibly be. They have nothing to lose. So I definitely like their chances of advancing. There's no reason that they can't.
North Carolina is so good. I think that's so underrated. Caleb Love had, I believe, 27 points in the second half. They are awesome. But it's the Peacocks. If North Carolina played any other team in that South region, I believe. Yeah, no, it's the East region. If North Carolina played any other team in that region, I'd pick North Carolina. But it's the Peacocks. It's the Peacocks. It's the Peacocks. St. Peter's all the way. St. Peter's all the way. I think we all can agree with that.
Yep.
We took a break. We took last week. We didn't take like a break, but we took a week off from talking football, which for the sake of March Madness, I think was fine. But we also missed
It was a
out
mistake on our part.
There was a few NFL moves that occurred, so
Just a bit.
we'll make sure to recap some of those tinier trades that happened. Obviously, Carson Wentz we're going to talk about for the rest of the podcast, so make sure to listen to all of our thoughts about that. But no, let's just get right into it. So obviously, there's so many moves, we can't really get to everything. We're going to get to the big stuff, but I'm going to kick it over to you, Davian. What was the biggest free agency or trade that you believe really elevated a team the past 2 weeks?
The Devontae Adams trade for the Raiders, that was insane for them. That definitely helped. They gave them their number one wide receiver, but I'm looking at the Dolphins now. Geez, they're stacked. Getting Tyreek Hill for only 5 draft picks. Yes, you're giving up some future good players that might be able to develop, but you're getting Tyreek Hill now. Yes, you had to give him an insane contract, which might come to bite you back in the future when Tua is asking for his contract, but. Man, the Dolphins really stacked up. That's a really smart trade by them. I would say that the biggest the biggest trade that improved the team would be the Dolphins trade.
Absolutely. And the thing to note too is I feel like this is kind of what they're doing in Miami is now kind of what the Giants were doing with trying to do with Daniel Jones, where they got Kenny Galladay. They got all these pieces around him. It's all right, Daniel Jones, you have all these guys. Now you gotta like take these guys. We can't keep saying, "Oh, Saquon was hurt." Oh, we can't keep saying you don't have targets. We are giving you targets. Do something with them. Prove to us that you are the quarterback for our franchise. And obviously, things didn't work out that way. Kenny Galladay had a very disappointing season, but I think he will bounce back. I feel like they're doing the same right now with Tua, and we'll get into it a bit more of the Tyreek Hill trade. So we'll be sure to break it. We'll make sure to break it down a bit more in depth. But I feel like this is kind of a sign like Tua. You have Jalen Waddle, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Mike Gesicki still. You have all these. You have Armstead now that they brought in to protecting Tua on the left side in all likelihood. You have the pieces. Now it's a matter of can you show us that you are that franchise quarterback? Can you take these pieces and help our team win? And if they can't win, I don't even think Tua is going to make it to that fifth-year option year. I think they're just going to move on right away because that's the quarterback business nowadays. It's if you don't prove that you're the guy in 3 years, you're gone, unfortunately. I think
Yeah.
some players just don't work like that. They take a while, but we'll see what happens. Lucas, which team do you think improved the most, or what was?
Well, I think that the Browns adding Deshaun Watson was absolutely huge. We saw limitations with their offense with Baker. Now, granted, he was dealing with a pretty serious injury last year that was hindering his ability to throw it downfield. But Deshaun, when he was last playing, I don't think anyone can argue he was a top 5 quarterback. And he is just going to really take this offense to the next. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the backfield, which is just going to take a lot of the pressure off of him. I just think this is a great move for the Browns. I think it's a good move for Deshaun. I think he's bring him into the system pretty quickly. You know, I also really like what the Colts did, acquiring Matt Ryan for basically nothing. And everyone knows they should have been a playoff team last year if Carson Wentz didn't have this insane urge to throw it to the other team all the time. They would have been there. But Matt Ryan just adds a great level of consistency. You know what you're going to get week in and week out. He's going to make the smart play. He's going to make the right play. And I think with pairing him with Jonathan Taylor, and I do think they need to a solid number 1 receiver. But if they can get the I think they're going to be real contenders.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of reasoning why Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson are all big moves. Let's just hop into it. So obviously Matt Ryan, I'm gonna take that real quick and just because it's a big trade, but it's not like the other trades. Matt Ryan goes for a 3rd round pick. At first, my initial reaction as an Atlanta Falcons fan was a 3rd round pick. But after hearing that the Colts are taking his whole salary, I can understand that. Obviously, there's a whole lot of dead cap. But if you consider Julio's dead cap already is there, at the end of the day, it's short-term pain for long-term gain. That's what I like to say. You're taking 1 step back, 2 steps forward. I can go on and on with a bunch of different ways to put that phrase. But it's going to be interesting. I am full on the Bryce Young tank for Young. I don't know what the fun slogan's going to be, but I am full on that tank. Let's do it. Let's get ourselves Bryce Young. The Falcons have a lot of holes, and I think if they can draft really well this year and next year, they can start to be on the up and up again, especially because we don't know what's going to happen with Tom Brady in 2 years. But it's clear they finally decided, hey, it's time we need to part ways with Matt Ryan. And I know a lot of Falcons fans are really happy about that. I'm a bit disappointed that he couldn't get that ring, and we're obviously not going to talk about that. But it is what it is. I think Matt Ryan for his 14 years, and hopefully he wins a ring with the Colts because that's going to be a big ad because he's much better than Carson Wentz. I think people think he's washed. Trust me, he's not washed at all. Now let's hop into some of the other big trades. Davian, you broke down the Tyreek Hill trade. Lucas, you mentioned Deshaun Watson. But let's just hop into the Russell Wilson trade first. And this trade was pretty nuts, especially with the fact that if you were a Broncos fan, I can only imagine how your day was. It just started so poorly hearing Aaron Rodgers is coming back. And then the next thing you know, you have Russell Wilson. So I'll break down the trade real quick, and then I want both of you guys just give me your quick thoughts on it. So Denver receives, obviously, Russell Wilson, and they receive a 4th-round pick. Seattle receives Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, a 1st-round pick this year, pick number 9, pick number 40, pick number 152, so 5th-round pick, for those just wondering. and a 2023 first and a 2023 second. I think the key here was that 9th overall pick. I think that's a big thing because obviously if you're adding Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos, that next first round pick is going to be in the late 20s. Seattle's not known for drafting really well, so I'm very intrigued to see what they do with pick number 9 and with their future draft picks, and if they can actually develop the guy for once. Davian, what are your thoughts on the Russell Wilson trade?
Wow. I mean, man, I remember I was sitting in class and I saw the trade and I was just stunned by it. I did not expect it to happen. I really thought that Russell Wilson would stay a Seahawk. I believe it was just a bunch of noise that we've been hearing for the past 3 years, really, I would say, about Russell Wilson. I didn't expect it to happen, but man, the Broncos, they really pulled it off. They're going to allow Russell Wilson to really be cooking on multiple things. We will not talk about, what but look, back to the trade. Amazing trade by the Broncos. I mean, yes, you give up Noah Fant and you give up Shelby Harrison. I really like those players on the team. I think they really helped and contributed to, the success of the team. But at the end of the day, I mean, Noah Fant is one of the top tight ends who have asked for a lot of money. Meanwhile, I think that Shelby Harris was already. I think he's already getting old, so there's that part of it. But with the Russell Wilson, I mean, look, the Broncos have their QB now. They don't need to be looking anymore. They're done with the mediocrity of Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, love Teddy Bridgewater. Don't get me wrong.
Sure,
But yeah, if you don't love Teddy Bridgewater, you're just not you're just not a football fan. But yeah, I would say that for sure that the Broncos are a much better team now, and they are going to. I mean, they're a contender now in a wild AFC West, by the way.
Absolutely, and we're gonna break that down, the AFC as a whole, later on the show. But Lucas, some quick thoughts on the Russell Wilson trade. What does this do for the Broncos? I want you also to talk a little bit more about how this looks for Seattle, what their future outlook looks like.
Yeah, I mean, to quickly touch on the Broncos, it was a move they had to make. I mean, they were just stuck in a quarterback limbo and had been ever since Manning walked out the door. They just haven't been able to figure that spot out. Obviously, not taking them anywhere. So Russell Wilson is by far the best piece they could have gotten aside from Aaron Rodgers possibly. But I really think Russell's going to click in this offense. I think it's a great pairing for both of them. On the Seahawks side, I do think they're just now in the middle of a flat rebuild. I don't know how long Pete Carroll's going to be sticking around. I don't know if he's interested in really starting from scratch over and building this thing all the way back up. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think they need to try and go after Baker. I mean, he's just going to be a more solid option. Want to try and compete. Try and compete. Not Seattle fans, right? And there's just hope on the horizon, really.
Okay, we might need to cut out the Baker Mayfield part. David,
Yeah, I mean, Lucas, if you want to say that again, and then I'll just cut out that part again, and then yeah.
We got you up to the Baker
All
Mayfield.
right, let's go.
Once you started talking about Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So if you want to just start.
Okay. Okay. I'll just start right there. Okay. But yeah, I think the Seahawks should try and obtain Baker Mayfield if they do want to be competitive this year. That's really what it comes down to. I think he will give them the best shot. But even with Baker, there's just the weapons on this team aside from DK, Metcalf, and Lockett. There's nothing there, and the defense has been getting weaker each year. And I just feel like it is time to hit the reset button. I feel like they will end up just starting Drew Lock, win maybe 3 games, and then try and find their quarterback of the future.
Absolutely. I'm shocked that all this is going on with Baker Mayfield. I feel like the Browns really tanked his value last year just between the injuries and all the stuff that's coming out, all the leaks about how he's a bad person. Ooh, so scary. Toxic in the locker room. I think that really hurt his value. I honestly think you could probably get a second-round pick for him. I think he's still young enough where you can get a second-round pick. I wouldn't be shocked if the Browns just straight up cut him. The Steelers, Seahawks, there's teams that could really use Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield's not a bridge type quarterback. Obviously Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, it's in the name, bridge quarterback. But Baker Mayfield's a guy that he can be a good starter for like a solid couple of years if you put the right pieces around him. And you might be like, Raffi, did you forget that the Cleveland Browns literally built a team around Baker Mayfield? And I said yes, but you got to have a good coach. You got to have a good system for Baker, and that system just wasn't working for him. I think if he can find the right system, he can really help a team move along. And I absolutely agree. I think that the Seahawks are sure to look at Baker Mayfield. I would say the Falcons, but right now I'm in full blown tank. We need a young quarterback. We just need to go to the bottom. I want that first overall pick. I've already decided. The Blackhawks are tanking. The Cubs are somewhat tanking. I don't know what they're doing. I'm going all out tank.
So you're not interested in Josh Rosen?
Oh, the chosen Rosen? No, unfortunately not. I think the first few times, I think he had potential, but then once he got to Atlanta, in the preseason game, he looked good versus the Dolphins, I believe, but it was also like the Dolphins like third stringer, so it wasn't anything crazy. Also, the Dolphins defense, meh. But let's then switch over to the Davante Adams trade, which I feel like if we don't talk about is just going to be criminal. So essentially, the Packers got a first round pick number 22, and a second round pick number 53 for Davante Adams. I like this trade for the Packers. Obviously, you gotta love it for the Raiders, but my quick thoughts are I love it for the Packers in the sense that, look, Davante Adams did not have a contract. Like, he was franchise tag, but he didn't have a contract. So the fact that the Packers were still able to get a first and second round pick for a guy that just was not going to play for them next year, I think that's very good for them that they're able to pull off. Now, Alan Lazard, and I don't even think MVS is off to Kansas City, and then they have Amari Rodgers right now. Those are their two guys. Lazard and Rodgers, they need wide receivers really badly. They've been having this problem for the past few years. Everyone knows that they were going to have a wide receiver problem this year, and now it's evident. But hopefully they can address that. And yeah, I think this was a good trade for the Packers, though. I think a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, it's terrible," but I mean, I don't blame them. I think they did well with this trade as a whole, given the situation that they were stuck in. Davian.
It was an amazing trade. I mean, well, I think it was this everything shows that Davante Adams still had a lot of respect for the Packers, because if he didn't, he would just come out like, guys, I don't have a contract yet. Start bidding on me. Like, let's start talking with other teams. But he played it off that like, yeah, I'm still probably gonna sign the franchise tag. I'll probably play under it. And really, there wasn't that much media of whether Davante is gonna be playing or not for the Packers. I mean, of course, there was media talking about it, but everyone thought that he would be playing. So then the Packers were able to pull off such a big package trade. I mean, they got a first round pick for somebody who was supposed to be out the door. I think it's a really good trade by the Packers. I truly think it is. I mean, Aaron Rodgers completely understood that Davante Adams would be gone, and so we can see that Rodgers, he truly loves Wisconsin. He just really wanted the money to stay, and yeah, I mean, wow, what a great trade by both teams, really. Raiders get their top wide receiver now for Derek Carr, and see if he's really the franchise QB to go with. And Packers, I mean, you get a really good package in return.
I think it really worked out for Davante Adams as well, in the sense that, and for the Packers, in the sense that if Davante Adams came out and said, "I want to go to the Raiders," I think that would have tanked his trade value to the point where it would have been like a second or third round pick alone. I think the fact that Davante Adams wasn't like, "I'm going to make a scene. I want my money. I want to get traded. I want to go to." If he said outright, "I want to go to Vegas," I saw it firsthand Monday with the NHL trade deadline. Marc-Andre Fleury, great Blackhawks goalie. I'm sure you guys have never heard of him, unfortunately. But anyways, this is just going to go off a little tangent. Marc-Andre Fleury says, the only team that I'm willing to go to, veteran goalie, he's like, I'm only willing to go to the Minnesota Wild. And that essentially, from going for a first-round pick and maybe a third-round pick, his value went all the way down to a second-round pick, which could potentially be a first-round pick, depending on how far the Wild go. But when a player is like, hey, I want to go to this team, or I am unhappy, which Fleury wasn't. Fleury's awesome. I love Fleury. The trade value dropped. So the fact that the Packers and Adams were made sure that there was nothing getting out, nothing like, I want to go here, I think just really helped the trade value as a whole. Because once again, as you mentioned, Davian, the Packers were kind of just in a spot where they just had to get the best they could, and I think they did really well. Lucas, any quick thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on the Raiders side of this. I mean, I absolutely love this move for Derek Carr. I have been a big Derek Carr fan and advocate for the last 5 years. I think he is criminally underrated. And he's never really had a number one. He did for a little while, but Cooper really wasn't himself yet. He really stepped his game up when he got to Dallas. And I just think this is really going to help things out for Derek Carr. And plus, you're reuniting best friends. They were teammates in college. They frequently on the phone. They're always in constant communication. And I think this is going to be a great pairing. Really excited to see it. Yeah. I love this for both of them. I think Adams ended up in a great spot, and I think that offense is going to be really dangerous now, pairing him with Renfro and the tight end, and they have I really like the pieces they've added on defense and free agency. So I mean that whole division that they're in is just going to be a madhouse. I mean, if you come out of that division, it's really saying something.
Absolutely, and we'll just fuel right into the whole talk about the AFC West. We'll look at it from a broader perspective. Obviously, the Chargers picking up Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, they bolstered their team a ton. Obviously, the Broncos got their guy in Russell Wilson. The Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill, which we did mention earlier in the show. And so the Chiefs are coming down a bit. It seems like the Raiders, Broncos, Chargers are going up. The question is, do these teams cannibalize each other into oblivion, or do we just see 4 AFC West teams, which is now possible with the 17 playoff, get into the playoffs? But I want to move into this idea in the AFC conference. I want to go around and just say, who do you think comes out of the AFC next year and is in the Super Bowl? Because I feel like the NFC, we know Rams, Niners, Packers, Bucks. There's an outside shot from some other teams, but I feel like those are your big 4 until the Cardinals prove to me that they're actually like a good franchise and stop disappointing me. So, Davian, who is your AFC champion come next year?
AFC champion? I mean, man,
or the best team
Chiefs
in the AFC right now.
Always the Chiefs are up there. You always got. I mean, I would say then the Chargers, or then I wouldn't say the Broncos just yet because we don't know how well Russell Wilson is going to work with the pieces around him, Cortland Sutton, and the running core. I mean, look, we still need to see what Russell Wilson, how he fits into the Broncos system. As a Patriots fan, I always think that the Patriots are going to do well, so I'll just put the Patriots in there. Bills, of course. I'm definitely forgetting a team. I wouldn't say Raiders still. I mean, yes, they have Devontae Adams, but I don't think Devontae Adams can just carry the team,
Lucas?
Well, this question a week ago, I probably would have said Kansas City, but I do think that the loss to Tyreek Hill is going to be very massive. He was what made that offense so dangerous. So right now, I think I am going to go with Buffalo. I think that Josh Allen is just going to keep improving. He has every year. I love the weapons they have around him. And I think these last 2 years have gone for them in the playoffs is just going to add more fuel to the fire for that. So right, we're going to go with the Bills.
I got to go with the Bills as well. Buffalo all the way this time. The third time, 3 times is the charm. Dallas is going down. I don't know if you guys have seen that clip, but that's probably one of the greatest clips I've ever watched in my life. Buffalo all the way this time. You got Diggs. Josh Allen's going to keep taking that next step. Von Miller on their defense. That was the thing that I really want to see the Bills address this offseason was that edge position, have that linebacker, have that guy that can play edge in a 4-3, come off and just make some big moves, make some big plays, because obviously the Bills' defense, when they needed to the most, did not make those big plays. Their defense was number 1, and I only know that because in fantasy football I had the Bills' defense, and they were ranked number 1. But aside from that, the Bills had arguably a top 5 unit last year, and adding Von Miller to it, I think really helps them as a whole. I really like the Bills. I think the Bills look really good. But yeah, we're going to have to see what happens. Obviously, I think the NFC is going to be very interesting with all the NFC players that have gone to the AFC. I think the NFC is going to just be a downright tank pool, honestly. I don't really think there's going to be too many teams in the NFC. I think we're going to see something we saw last year where it was the Eagles got in as the 7th seed and just got absolutely waxed by the Buccaneers in the first round. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of fighting going on for those parts as a whole. And yeah, so I think that's going to do it for this episode. of the Benchwamer Sports podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Davian and Lucas, always a pleasure talking to you guys about football. If you guys do want to check out some of the hockey stuff that we're going to have going on, some of the college basketball stuff, I will be posting stuff as we go along. We're finally back. We had a bunch of viewers. Make sure to follow us on TikTok if you're like, I don't really like football. I like hockey. I like hockey as well. So you're going to get a lot of videos from me over the next couple months as hockey starts to go into the playoffs. So you're going to get a lot of that. So make sure you follow us there. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Spotify. Give us a good rating. Give us your likes, comments. And yeah, that's about it for that one. For Lucas and Davian, I'm Raffi, and thank you for listening. And we will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.
Go Peacocks!
Absolutely.